honestly, watching this movie, a main takeaway for me, and this is probably not the takeaway, is I want to get into gambling.
Fascinating takeaway.
This is
watching Requiem and going like, I gotta try heroin.
So, Alana, you commented on how I'm looking today. This is obviously how I normally dress and hold my hands.
Famously, as one reviewer said, Kohl's aisle polos, which I think have made an appearance.
That is, I am not wearing a polo shirt from Kohl's. There's no shame in that.
There isn't.
Kohl's cash.
Yeah.
I'm all right. So it should be clear. I'm doing all gestures like Robert De Niro does in Casino. I'm counting on fingers. Which is a hint.
That is what we're discussing today.
Keep that in mind for later when we discuss this episode. I'm counting on one hand various things. I'm upset in how I'm talking about it. And it's about Kohl's. I didn't get my polos from Kohl's.
Wow.
I got them from Bonobos.
Oh.
Alana, before we keep jawing, we need to introduce our guest, comedian, actor, humanitarian, Demi Adejuyigbe, and writer.
Humanitarian is new. I cannot live up to that.
Listen.
You know what? From this point on, I will be.
This is a service that you're doing by being here.
Yeah, because otherwise I made you a liar, and I can't do that.
Well, writer, comedian, what don't you do, honestly?
Relax.
Now that's going to hit for all our industry viewers.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Oh.
All right.
Oh, wait. The TV show industry or people who work in the industry?
We have a big crossover, obviously, with the HBO hit series industry.
Of course.
So it's just that the middle of that Venn diagram.
Yeah, of which I've seen one episode and intend to see more. I just am bad at watching TV.
I feel like it's supposed to be really good.
I hear nothing but people
why
won't
don't
shut
I
up
watch
about
it? Like, why? I'm just never in the mood. It never strikes me to watch.
It also feels like a show where it's like, I know it's not the point, but everything about it feels like it'll really hit if you know about business. So I'm like, I don't want to watch and be like, oh my God, this stock is up. I'm like, I don't know. Exactly. I don't know what they're talking about.
The movie we're discussing, you don't need to know shit.
You don't know a damn thing.
You're going to learn and you're going to love it.
Yeah.
The HBO Sunday night discourse is the closest I feel to psyops being a thing in life. Like why am I feeling pressure that I haven't seen it? You know?
Sure.
Like in my life, you know? Whereas Casino, I've seen 1,000,000 times and I'm not even sure what I think of it. And I've seen it 1,000,000 times.
I have a lot of movies like that. They're always also 3 hours. And I'm just like, I don't know. Let me watch it again. I don't know.
So when I saw that, I was like, I don't remember that about it. Because once you start watching it, it doesn't feel like 3 hours. But it pissed me off.
It's the kind of show or kind of movie that feels like it's on TV a lot. And I feel like those movies are timeless and that they are meant to be watched all one. But the way that they've been sort of like woven into culture just feels like it's not about how long it is. Go make a meal and come back and finish it. It's
right.
Totally. It's like ambient.
Yes.
Right. We're an hour 45 into Casino when I flipped to it on TBS. Let's keep going. Let's see how this plays out this time.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Could go better for some of them.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into what it's about, which is, it's hard to sum it up, guys. But, you know.
Martin Scorsese's Casino.
Let's be clear.
Legal title, government name.
Yes.
Right, yeah. 1995.
1995, which is like, what a great time to have a movie come out, you know?
We really didn't know how good we had it to some degree, you know?
Yeah. I want to make a movie that comes out in 1995.
Hey, you still can. No?
I'm curious how that would work.
I present the ideas. I'm not a solutions guy.
Yeah. You're the Elon Musk of this. You're like,
and thank you for saying that.
I'm always saying this.
Thank you. Let's clip that out. Have that be what people know me as now.
Okay. Main character Sam Rothstein.
Yeah. Ace.
Based on Lefty Rosenthal, Frank Rosenthal, sports handicapper for the Chicago outfit. We said the name, okay? That's the synergy we're going for here, okay? Chicago outfit, sports handicapper. I came across, when I wrote my article on Ken Edo, the Japanese-American gambling boss in the Chicago mob, there was a funny detail that he bought Frank Rosenthal's apartment from him when he moved to Las Vegas for this movie.
That was what a nice apartment it was.
It was on Lakeshore Drive in Chicago. So he's one of the guys with the Chicago outfit. He makes money for them, and that's why he's a big shot with them. Obviously, he's Jewish. He's from the west side of Chicago. And grew up with Tony Spilotro, the basis for the other main male character in this movie.
Nicky
Santoro.
Yeah.
Joe Pesci.
Yeah. So basically, Ace is sent out, I don't know if he's already there, but he's in Las Vegas making millions for the outfit. They send out Nicky, Joe Pesci, to kind of protect him, be the muscle. And a lot of crazy shit happens. It doesn't go as planned. Ace falls in love with Sharon Stone, perhaps more of even a hustler than him. That actually becomes harder for him to manage than his grift, which is incredible. I love that plot line. Demi, tell us about your relationship to this movie. Like, when did you first see it?
I watched this movie the first time 2 years ago. I went to the one across town at the Arrow. They did a screening of it because I always knew this is a movie I'd have to sort of watch in a theater, or else I wouldn't really pay attention to it or finish it. And I remember there's so many sequences from this movie that I remember that I'd sort of forgotten until I watched it again. But I distinctly remember like everything Sharon Stone does, everything she wears, fantastic in it. I remember feeling a little like I'm lost in the plotting of what's happening and realizing the downfall. I feel like the downfall with these things always comes from like unions or like money, and it's never like they got caught for the crime. It's just like you forgot to pay the right guy, or like they for me, this one is like they fired a guy that they shouldn't have because he got so frustrated.
Joe Bob Briggs of horror movie presentation fame.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Cult Texas. So Joe Bob Briggs plays the redneck working the slot machine.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd fix it, Mr. Ross Satan and all that. But Texas horror film fanatic. Anyway,
Another thing that I remember is thinking, I remember liking the movie, but I also remember thinking with the ending, just like, oh, that's it? I feel like for De Niro's character, it ends in such a way that I'm just sort of like, you kind of gave up. Or like you kind of were just sort of like, and then he kind of went back to his old life. And I'm like, Can I do
an impression of the ending? He goes, and then I kept making money for them. And that was my life.
Yeah.
The end.
It feels like the movie was written by the guy. And he was like, I got to be honest, like I learned my lesson, but also I'm still alive. And now it's like, I don't know.
I feel like I wanted him to die. In the opening scene is this incredible scene where Robert De Niro is in this amazing coral suit, gets into a car, it blows up. That would have been the end. Like, it goes back to that at the end. Yeah. But unfortunately, in real life, he didn't die then. So they kind of had to keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Did you clock, by the way, the split-second frame of the dummy sitting?
Sure did.
You want to talk about this for a minute here?
Both times I was like, okay, it's such a the kind of cut where because you're focused on him so intently, it's just you immediately you're like, that's not him.
This is the thing about making a movie in 1995,
It's still, my thing is just like, if they had gone to any other angle, we would have been like, oh, I don't see the dummy. But I don't know.
I was confused because I thought, Robert De Niro just turned into that dummy. I was really scared for him. Yeah, right.
You're just waiting, being like, eventually they're going to explain why he turns into a dummy. How that happens.
I'm waiting. I'm watching to the end to get this. Anyway. But yes, Frank Rosenthal, as was depicted in the movie, attempted to be blown up outside Tony Roma's ribs. That's a true detail.
It's outside of Tony Roma's?
Tony Roma's. You ever been there?
Oh, I used to love that. I grew up in Texas. Going to Tony Roma's was like fancy time.
I don't even know what that is.
They had that in the Northeast too. And I remember it was like a big deal to go there. Yeah.
It's just like I guess a steakhouse, but really a rib house.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Shout out ribs. Love
Shout
ribs.
out ribs.
Now I'm just thinking about ribs,
Yeah.
Yeah. So he survived. I agree with the ending. And we did not know this at the time. The book that Nicholas Pileggi wrote that the movie is based on, and the movie was made, we didn't know that Frank Rosenthal was an FBI informant through all of the events of this movie. Yeah. And we only found that out after he died in 2009. His wife, Jerry McGee, whom Sharon Stone's character is based on, also provided information to the FBI. They kept it. If you FOIA, they won't reveal that. Sometimes they won't reveal it after a person dies, But that was the case here. So
that's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Given, I'm like, well, then now how much of this movie did happen? Because there's a lot of stuff I'm like, there's no way that happened if they're FBI informants.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that gets to my next question, which is, Dan, what are your feelings? Do you like this movie? And I feel like your answer is going to be connected to how realistic it is.
I mean, listen, so I've gotten in trouble before for saying I'm not the hugest fan of Casino, including from Mike Mitchell.
Why have you gotten in trouble for that?
This is a movie people love and feel very strongly about. And I'm not trying to be a contrarian who's like, the movie sucks when it, whatever. I'm not trying to do that. My main issue with it has always been, I felt Robert De Niro was a little miscast in it.
I think I agree.
Okay.
I had written that down, and then I deleted it at the end, being like, I don't know.
It's too hot.
Took a little nuts.
Yeah.
No, not even a little hot. It's just my feeling about him being miscast is like, I feel like there are moments where the movie wants you to believe that he's a little more straight-laced, and that when he has a temper, it's like, oh, this is a big change for the guy. And the Robert De Niro, the second he walks on screen, you're a little like, okay, I take you seriously. And I think you want to see this guy becoming like meaner and angrier over time. And also, I watched this with a bunch of friends, and we kept making the commentary that this guy is autistic. He is constantly just going like, there's not enough blueberries. Like, they should all have the equal amount of blueberries. He's like stopping conversation mid-sentence just to like complain about something, or like being very like particular in a way that I'm like, it is just a character like tick of like, this guy is very precise and whatnot, but the way it comes off is like he cannot handle things that are not like in that way. And I say this as someone who is autistic, but I also say this as someone just being like, when Robert De Niro does it, I'm like,
qualified. I'm qualified to diagnose.
I'm allowed. No, but I just, it's when Robert De Niro does it, it feels very much like he's just boiling over in a way that I'm like, oh, is that what they wanted us to think? Or they wanted us to think this guy is just, he's so precise. I don't know.
This is, first off, this is the most fascinating read on Casino I've ever heard.
It's such a 2026 read.
But you're right. Of course he is, right? Like,
I wouldn't have said it if it wasn't, if I wasn't in a room with 8 people who all were like, yeah.
Clocked it.
When he meets with the bigwig, the cowboy, who's the powerful political guy, and he is not getting, you have to hire back this relative of his, right? And like, the guy's trying a million different things, and it's not breaking through to him, he's not reading him, He's not reading the room.
He's not picking up on the social cues.
No. Yeah. Hey, we all been there.
Yeah.
Right?
Fair.
This
is hilarious.
I don't know what you're talking about, given I'm obsessed with the mob and try to know everything about it. But so let's move on.
But is that what is your feeling about why he is miscast here?
You already nailed a big part of it, which is Frank Rosenthal, or Ace Rothstein in this, is not, if you see pictures of him, he looks like Don Knotts. He's not a tough guy, right? His usefulness to the outfit is for making money. And I don't buy De Niro really to use Gen Z slang, as a beta, right? He's an alpha, he's a sigma even, perhaps, and I just don't buy him as a wimp, as a cuckold. And what I said to Alana, and there's another reason I think that, is this movie better with Dustin Hoffman in the De Niro part? And I think, yes, it is. And that speaks to another thing I would be interested to hear Alana speak on, which is Ace Rothstein is Jewish.
Yeah, so this is my main issue with, to me, De Niro is the most Italian man. And I understand, okay, so in Hollywood,
mostly
there's this whole
Irish,
thing
by
is
the
like,
way.
they're constantly hiring Italians to play Jews. And as someone who's half and half, I totally get it, right? It like often works. But this is one of those cases where I'm like, no, he's actually like not Jewish at all.
The Italian Jewish thing in Hollywood feels like a remnant of a time where it's just sort of like, well, where are we going to find enough of either? And now it feels like a thing where I'm just like, no, we're all too aware. Like, did you see Caught Stealing?
No.
Would be a great movie for the podcast. But also there's a thing where the two actors they hired to play like Orthodox Jewish
gangsters. Was it
gangsters.
Liev
Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio.
Why haven't I seen this?
And you're like, wait, Liev Schreiber, famously Jewish, made many a movie about the Jewish experience. And Vincent D'Onofrio, famously Italian. with a very Italian, and it just feels like that sort of thing where you're like, if this is not the gag, then why are you doing it? In this movie, every time they call him the Jew, I go, oh, right.
Here's the thing. I feel like in mob movies, it really doesn't work. And we can talk a little bit about this because of the way, for example, our main character is never a made man, and that's because he's Jewish. He makes them millions of dollars. You couldn't really become a made man unless you were Italian.
Right.
That's kind
More
of
or
the
less,
whole thing.
yeah.
Right. So it's like that cultural difference actually is important, even if it's not to like other people watching. Like, what's the difference? An Italian, a Jew. It's like, no, it's really important in this case.
Well, and it's an interesting thing, as you said, that goes back to early Hollywood, where the first gangster movies, in fact, Paul Muni, who's the original Scarface, was Jewish. Edward G. Robinson, one of the first great gangster actors, played, Little Caesar, Rico Bandini. He's Jewish. So there is a long tradition of Jewish actors playing Italian gangsters and vice versa, right? But De Niro is the most possibly the most Gentile man imaginable. I mean, he's just, that's...
You look at his face and you think Catholic shame, guilt, and rage.
Yeah.
I feel like he's also played too many roles where it's like the whole thing is he's Italian. So I'm just sort of like, well, okay.
So if you're at home pulling your hair out over this, like don't shoot the messengers, okay? We're just letting you know what's up here.
Well, I also think partially why it stands out a little is the casting for everyone else is so right on. Like Sharon Stone. Oh.
So let's talk about her.
Okay. I mean, let's talk about her. I never want to stop talking about her.
I'm always down too.
I think, I don't know, like growing up in the 90s, I feel like she was something of a, not punchline exactly, but like, oh, it's Sharon Stone. Like, she's just so hot, so good looking, whatever. She's great in this movie. She's a great actress.
Didn't this, my understanding was this kind of established her. People were like, holy shit.
Well, I think she won an Oscar, but
she did.
She was nominated.
Oh.
She didn't win.
All right. See, this is the thing. It's Oscar season when we're recording this,
sure
right?
Is.
I feel like you're a guy who knows a lot about the Oscars.
I am. I love the Oscars.
You do?
Yeah. That's a Super Bowl to me.
That's your Super Bowl.
Yeah. You've seen my Oscar parties.
I was going to say, don't you have a rager?
I do.
Every year?
Yeah. We burn the house down over the Oscars.
Hamnet! Right. Yeah.
But I was looking up. I'm shocked at how many things this movie didn't win. Like, Scorsese didn't get nominated for directing. There's no nomination for editing, which I think this is one of his best edited movies. There's so many little cuts, like when... we'll go back to Sharon Stone, but there's so many little cuts where it's like when Sharon Stone is like flirting heavily with Joe Pesci, and you can see on his face that it's like, oh God, it's going to go back. And they just cut to a big sign that says no in De Niro's office. There's so many like, little gags like that where I'm like, they're having fun on this one. But yeah, she lost to Susan Sarandon in Dead Man Walking. That's who it was. Which I think this was also like a competitive year, but yeah, she's great in this. And I don't know, was Basic Instinct after this? Or
I think it was before it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what made her kind of the punchline, right?
That's it, right? I just remember growing up reading like Mad Magazine, like the Basic Instinct, every parody of the Basic Instinct scenes and all that. It was probably pretty hard to live down. But I thought she's fantastic in this. And she's based on Jerry McGee, who is a real figure. You can look up what she looks like. Sharon Stone, not an exaggeration. This beautiful woman from California who is like, as much as Ace Rothstein is the Jewish nerd from the west side of Chicago, she is the beautiful California blonde, but she's a hustler, right? She marries this guy, Lenny Marmor, who is the James Woods character, Lester Diamond in this movie, who is a scumbag entering her in beauty contests, borderline pimp, and she's a Las Vegas hustler. So, Alana, you're obsessed with her.
I am.
What, tell us more about what appeals to you about this character in this movie.
Well, I think particularly because women in mob movies are oftentimes so weak and just completely defined by the men that they're with. She's kind of the opposite of that. I think there was a line even where he say like she's as big of a hustler as me or better? I mean, she's incredible in her own right. Yeah. In fact, he kind of has to bribe her to even marry him.
Right.
And so there's that. I think that's really fascinating. And it also is interesting that he wants a woman like that. I think that says something about his character, because come on, it's not going to work out for you.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the real photos of Frank Rosenthal with Jerry McGee, it's like, it's They're painful. I mean, they're like, I remember there was a thing where there was some contest where fans could meet the Lakers girls, like the cheerleaders.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all these slobs and a Carl's Jr. next to the cheerleader, like, and that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I like how she even says, like, I don't love you. And he's like, that's fine.
Maybe it'll grow.
Yeah.
We
all been there.
Talk about a cuck.
Yeah.
I mean, for Sharon Stone, who wouldn't, you know?
You take the shot.
Yeah.
I also her intro scene is so great where she's like hustling at that craps table, and the shot of her like walking out and making eye contact with De Niro is like that's a movie star entrance. It's really just so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like you feel in that moment that like you can tell it's all not going to go well, but you also get the feeling of like he's got to try. You understand why he's like you understand the attraction to that.
I like that he first sees her through the surveillance system which is a perfectly normal way to meet women, I should add, you know.
I also think, and now we're transitioning to why I truly love this movie, is the costume design. And with Sharon Stone, I mean, it is the jewelry, the nails, everything in this movie, the world building. There was a rumor for a long time that the budget for the costumes was $1 million, which wasn't actually true, but that's how good they are, that people believed that.
I believe it.
And I didn't know this, but Marty,
we call him Marty, by the way.
We call him Marty. We're close personal friends. Son of a garment presser and a seamstress. So he's always been really, really obsessed with the costumes.
Who are both in the movie, I should add.
When?
Well, you know, Marty's, again, personal friend. Marty's mother is the mother in Kansas City at the grocery store.
The one who hates when they're swearing.
Yeah, that's his mother. And then his father is one of the Midwest mobsters gathering.
He loves putting them in.
He does. Yeah, they're both in Goodfellas. Too.
Yeah.
There's a deleted scene on the Blu-ray. Well, the only one that's marked as deleted scene just seems like it's the footage from around them shooting the grocery store scene where he is saying like, you're gonna react, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, you're so fucking angry. And she goes, Marty, my virgin ears. And he's like, well, yeah, that's what I want you to do. And it's very funny, very charming.
Very cute. Yeah, I think part of when I read this detail, which is basically like, so this movie is set in the late 70s, early 80s. Which there was great fashion then, but everything was made with polyester, which kind of made it look cheap. So for this movie, nothing was polyester. They basically remade clothes of that era, but with super high-end fabric. And I think that's why everything looks so good. Like you're like, wow, it's a 70s cut suit, but it doesn't look like a cheap salesman is wearing it. It's like that blue one in the beginning. I mean, I don't know where to start.
Well, we're talking about the Sharon Stone fashion. What about the De Niro? I love the De Niro fits.
Yeah. I think it's also, you rarely get to see men in colorful suits as frequently as you do in this movie. And De Niro wears so many, and they're so like, even when he's just wearing like those patterned robes in his home, you're just like, he's got
just like John Barrymore, his Joe Pesci says. Yeah, right.
Great joke. But like, just there's so many, it's just, you get all of that flash and pizzazz that does make it feel a little like he is not trying to come forward as a gangster, a guy that you're supposed to be afraid of. I think the outfits also go back to him feeling miscast, where it's like, is that De Niro's vibe here?
There's a scene where he's talking with the accountants or whatever, where the plane lands on the golf course.
Great.
He's in the fuzzy pink sweater. It's the most striking thing, you know, and I feel like Robert De Niro would explode under normal conditions putting that on, you know?
Sure.
But this is a character. He's acting, believe it or not.
Yeah, I think also part of why it's so good is it tells a story of the character, right? So the opening scene, he's in this coral suit, the one where he's getting blown up, and it's so ostentatious, which was obviously mimicked how he was getting a little too big for his bridges in this movie. Like he, as the movie goes on, he starts a talk show. The outfit is not happy with him because he's being too flashy. So him wearing the pink suit is really emblematic.
And I should add, you can go on YouTube and look up the Frank Rosenthal show and watch clips from it. It was real.
That's great.
It's fucking insane.
Tell us about it. So who's he interviewing?
I mean, he's interviewing like Tony Orlando and Dawn, all these cheesy, you know, acts like, and you know, he is doing the juggling and having the showgirls on and all this and trying to talk up Las Vegas. And it's like, you know, you are a bookmaker for the Chicago mob. You are not supposed to be on television, you know? You invented the sports book in Las Vegas, and that's about as public as you should be ever.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I love Las Vegas. This gets me to something we have to discuss, which is, as I'm listening to that, the fact that happened, I'm just reminded how much I love Vegas. It's just such a crazy encapsulation of everything that's amazing and horrible about our country to me.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
And
I was about to be like, I couldn't agree less. But then when you say that, I'm like, no, I guess it is sort of a synecdoche for everything.
Well, yeah, I believe Hunter S. Thompson famously wrote about Las Vegas. He said it was what the Nazis would do on Saturday night if they'd won.
Oh my God.
That's so good.
Which, I think he had a point. Have you
when I say love, I just mean it's fascinating to me.
Yeah. Have you spent much time in Las Vegas?
I have. When I was a kid, my parents used to take us to Vegas a lot as like a sort of like, it's dinner and a show. We'll stay in a hotel. Like that was supposed to be like a fun trip. And I always remember thinking like, I don't like this. Aside from one time where we got to see a magic show, and then a man who I fully believe is Del Curry bought me and my sister magic kits as a kid.
Wow.
No, we were in a magic store and like looking at a bunch of stuff, and then
so it was nice. It wasn't like, and then get in my van.
No, it was like my parents were there, and we were like, it's like I think he wanted to do something generous, and we're like at the strip and was talking to us, and we were just so excited about the magic kits. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna buy you kids these kits, and we were like, oh wow, thank you. And he's just, my name's Curry, and now I think back, I'm like, that's Del Curry. Anyway, but every time I've been to Vegas since then, I leave just being like, what a hot, putrid hellhole. And I'm never like having I've had good times where it's like, oh, I went with friends to see a concert, but not a fan.
Well, I don't want to one-up you and take away from that, but when I was eating a cheeseburger in Las Vegas, Carrot Top walked by. So,
What did he buy you?
He bought me a dirty look is what he bought me. Because I was staring at Carrot Top.
Yeah, we came of age during, Las Vegas always goes, or all cities, they go through rebrands. So I think when we were younger,
right,
it was going through trying to rebrand as a family-friendly place.
Yeah.
Which he talks about at the end of the movie a bit, right?
So I went, my grandpa was a high roller, so we got deals on rooms at the Excalibur, okay?
Cool.
So I went every year.
Wow.
I didn't know this about you.
You didn't?
I did not know this.
It's a huge part of my lore.
Wow.
Was that I grew up just like, there's a lot of gambling in the family.
Uh-huh. Well, that I
by the way, high roller. I mean, that's making it sound glamorous. And the Excalibur is the like Knights of the Round Table Merlin themed hotel, just so we're clear. Okay.
Yes.
So I've always thought, recognizing Vegas as a family-friendly, or once family-friendly city, that makes sense. But the idea of being a high roller at a themed hotel just feel a little like, why that one?
Yeah.
Like, why do you go there?
I'm basically the coolest guy in this fake castle.
Yeah.
But anyway, I loved it. Are you kidding me? Because there was like nonstop arcades. We were just running around the hotel like unsupervised.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is all what they would call the newer Las Vegas Strip too, right? Which is the genesis of Las Vegas as the mob gambling capital is on the old Vegas Strip, which is a lot methier and a lot scummier. It's still there. I've never been to that part of Las Vegas myself, to be honest. But there you have Binions and
that's where they're like the Neon Museum is, I think.
I think so. And they have that walkway from Enora where so I've never been there, but obviously, the history of this dates back to the Sahara, the Desert Inn, Bugsy Siegel after World War II and building that up. And most of that's gone now. And even the second wave, they're starting to demolish those and replace them with other things. And there's going to be an MLB stadium on the Las Vegas Strip. So it's just completely, even at the end of the movie where they talk about that, going family friendly, now we're entering a whole second phase of that, And it's all powered by sports gambling, which is now legal. And Ace Rothstein didn't get to live to see it. But, he's really won,
Honestly, watching this movie, a main takeaway for me, and this is probably not the takeaway, is I want to get into gambling.
Fascinating takeaway.
This is
watching Requiem and going like, I gotta try heroin.
Just a little bit.
They've got your ass.
They did get.
You know what? You can't just do a little bit.
Yeah.
No one ever says that you can just do a little bit.
I think the lesson of casino is a little bit of gambling isn't going to harm anyone.
Yeah.
Okay? You know.
True.
And if you start losing, just put a little more in until
Exactly.
You know what? If you lose enough, you'll become a high roller.
That's right.
And you'll get that name. You
Yeah,
know?
that's why we got the comped room.
Hi, I'm a high roller. I lose a lot of money at gambling. Nice to meet you. You know.
There's not a thing in me that wants to gamble. Like I feel like I don't go to Vegas. I don't go to. I also think it's just like I'm not a very competitive person. Like if I'm like I've been to like casinos where I'll like put it. I'm like I'm going in with $20 and I lose it all. I'm like, all right, well, let's go. It just feels like there's not a thing in me where I'm just sort of
You're
like,
not getting the hit. You either get the adrenaline hit from it or you don't.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't get the dopamine of like a win from that. I just sort of go like, cool. Like I think I feel like there's a little thing of here's my big thing with casinos. Because I go to the slots and I'm just like, these are all so poorly designed, I don't want to look at them. I don't even get the dopamine of like flashing lights. I'm just like, what are they? The big 7 serif font, it looks ugly. And then I got matched up with the bar. I'm like, no, that's not. They should all be minimal and like
that's
beautiful.
Hilarious.
And, like,
I love it. I'm like,
so the Golden Girls slot machine, it does not activate the lizard brain.
That's correct.
You know, that's
and
great.
Also maybe they should make some themes for things I like. There should be an Ocean's 11 themed slot machine.
There probably is.
Oh, well, I haven't seen it. They took it out of the casinos.
But here's the thing: Ocean's 11 slot machines, like that, they don't want to give anyone ideas, right? Like, I mean,
they can't. I feel like that's one of those things where it's like we patched the exploit, you know, where it's like you can't do Ocean's 11. We saw it.
I feel like I want to know when I say get into gambling, it's not slots I'm thinking about.
You want to be sending death threats to the LA Rams offensive line.
Exactly. Or predictions. I just look, this isn't a pro gambling episode.
No.
It just seems
it's always good to have to say that midway through an episode. Yeah.
It just seemed like, you know, the in the beginning of this movie in Casino, there's a Japanese gambler who goes and makes $2 million. And then our brilliant main character has a whole plot to keep him there so that he keeps going and loses money, which is incredible. But before he starts losing, you're like, that's pretty cool. I mean,
you know what's funny is sequences like that in that movie make me just go like, I gotta get into hustling. It makes me go, I gotta be De Niro, where it's like, we're coming up with it's like why I like Ocean's 11. It's like, I'm coming with a plan to trick this guy.
Sure.
That's what I'm like, let me do that.
But isn't he a gambler though?
So listen, this is a great point, right? Which is, we all want someone to beat the house, right? And as De Niro says in this movie, right, the house is the only one that wins. Every edge in the house goes towards the house. I think blackjack has the best odds if you're a gambler. So they do everything they can to make sure you can't win. If you're card counting, which I don't even consider to be cheating, right? They'll do all these complications, extra decks, all this stuff to keep you from doing it. And if they think that you are counting cards, they'll just ban you from the casino and there's nothing you can do about it, you know?
It's kind of crazy. They can just decide to ban you and just sort of
so this is what I'm saying. Being good at gambling is sticking it to the man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's just...
What else reminds you of a system in which the house always wins and the odds are stacked against just the little guy going in there trying to gamble?
So now gambling is a political thing for you.
Exactly.
You're gambling to stick it to the man.
Yeah, to beat the house.
I love that.
Whether or not I actually do
is irrelevant. We all got to fight, right?
Yeah.
They can't take us all down. We should all gamble.
Well, isn't that part of what's so appealing about it, though, when you're watching it? It's like the odds are completely stacked against you.
No, that's the thing that is bad about it.
I got to give you a flat no on that.
What you're saying is you watch this and go, in my life, I feel like I am the little guy and I'm constantly getting squashed. I wish there was another version of that for me to do recreationally.
Fair. You know, when you put it this way, I have some stuff to work on.
Sharon Stone, you know, crippling gambling addiction. You balance it out.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
I get it.
One for them.
But I think that's the issue, right? Like it's the illusion that you could win, right? Like even professional gamblers know, like there's a slight edge. Maybe if they grind playing poker for 12 hours, they can come out ahead. You know, it's so grim.
I know. I'm not going to do it.
This is not an intervention. I want to be clear. All right.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Yeah. And listen, here's where
Can you see me like being kind of good at it.
Yes, I can see you with like on a World Series of Poker thing with the glasses and you're just like hunched over the table.
Glasses?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it, all right, I'm talking a lot of shit here. I'll give a confession and say, I love poker enough that I don't think I should play it.
Yeah, you can't do it because you love it too much. So
I love sports. I could easily see that getting out of hand. So let's just not go down that road.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And I'm normal is the other thing. So
my thing with both sports and poker is that every time I get involved, it's not a competitive thing. It's just like I'm having so much fun with my friends. And then I'm just like, I'll lose $50. I don't care. What are you guys doing? What are we talking about?
It's about
and
the
it's
experience.
Like, yeah. I'm like, you don't get that in Vegas. It's just like,
no.
Smell like smoke.
No.
Who's that guy?
In fact, they're annoyed when they see a guy like you come through the door, right?
I'm trying to talk to the old woman next to me and she's just like, I need you to stop.
You're distracting me.
Like, where are you from? It's like,
I'm trying to count the cards.
They're watching me on the screen just like, what's his game? He's going and talking to everybody. It's like, I'm just happy to be here.
Well, you're the kind of guy that is, I want to go to Las Vegas, and I'll tell you why, which is you're the only one who's going to beat the house. You're going to get the free drinks, you're going to get the cheap food, and you're not going to put anything back into the...
They hate to see me.
Exactly, right?
You're just there for community.
Yeah.
If you go on a cruise ship and you don't drink or gamble, they fucking lose. They lose.
Yeah. That's how you stick it to the man, actually.
That's right.
Wow.
Sobriety.
I'm glad we figured this out.
We turned it around.
Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, all said and done, Demi, do you love this movie? Like, what would you say?
It's funny that you were saying that people get on your case for not loving this movie, because to me, this has always felt like a second tier Scorsese.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's like, oh, I didn't think people had strong feelings about Casino because I thought people were like,
yeah,
Casino.
You could watch Goodfellas. Like, Goodfellas is right there.
Right, yes. I can imagine if you were like,
we have Goodfellas at home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that some of the reason that this movie, at least at the time, wasn't as like heavily awarded does feel a little bit like people look at it and go, it's Goodfellas again. It's like kind of the same guys. It's a little bit of the same story. It's a little bit of the same ending, but it does feel distinctly different. And also, until we were talking about it now, I didn't really think about how so much of the difference is in the fact that it takes place in Vegas and not like New York or New Jersey. But I do like this movie a lot. I think it has not, since the first time I watched it, it has not stuck with me as a movie that was like, wow, that's one of his greats. It's a movie that I'm like, I really like it a lot. And if I don't see it again, that's fine. And then watching it again, I was just like, it is really fun. And clearly like you can tell that they had a lot of fun in making it. I think it's also, filmmaking wise, you get a lot of people who try to make Scorsese movies nowadays, and this feels like the movie they are making. Like, there's so many shots in this, and there's so much pacing where I'm like, oh, it's Boogie Nights. Or it's like, like all of the, like, I, Tonya type movies where it's like a like birth to death biopic kind of someone. Feels like it's taking after this and the pacing of this, which is more modern than anything, any of the other famous Scorsese movies from the era. But I'll just say that, like, I do really like it. It's just not one that I imagine myself going like, oh, you know what I could really throw on right now is Casino.
Well, it doesn't, like you said, it's 3 hours, but it doesn't drag, right? It's pretty. I'll also say, I always think of it like, remember the part in Phantom Thread where he looks at the dress and he's like, oh, this is good and this is good. It's just not very good altogether.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's not a great movie altogether. And then there's all these individual elements I love. I love Don Rickles as the casino manager. That's terrific casting because this is a comedian who knew these guys, worked these nightclubs and casinos, and seems credible as that. I love, not a great guy, but James Woods as Lester Diamond, the pimp, fantastic
really
in it.
Yeah, he's not a great guy, which is why he works as like this scumbag.
I don't think he was aware he was being filmed, but it works out, So I like all these elements of it. I kind of like the depiction of, all right, I will grouse about one thing. There's a weird aversion to, I don't think the word Chicago is said once in the entire movie. There's a bizarre aversion to mentioning Chicago. And
Is Chicago
No, they
important to the
mention
story?
it.
They don't. If they always refer to as back home or.
Actually, because there's a very funny lower third where they just say back home. And I am like, huh.
Oh.
So I've always wondered if they did that for some legal reason, that they were afraid of being sued or something like that, that the bosses they're based on, they mentioned Kansas City.
Yes.
Which was a part of the Vegas skim. And which they as the movie depicts the straw man trials in Kansas City, they prosecuted the mob for that out of Kansas City. But they don't mention Chicago, and at least Joe Pesci tries a Chicago accent. Doesn't succeed, but he tries. Everyone else has a New York accent playing a Chicago gangster.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think part of the weirdness too is like both Pesci and De Niro are so New York to me. Like, and I'm assuming that, and I know from doing this podcast that the Chicago mob had a different flavor to it.
It did, and it was more multi-ethnic, which is interesting. You know, they were not as rigid as New York on that.
I wonder if the De Niro of it all is just like Scorsese sort of being like, this is my guy, or these are my guys, or is it like this movie doesn't get made without De Niro?
I think you nailed it. So about a week ago, I was telling you guys earlier, I got to see that a screening here in LA of Goodfellas, which I've seen a million times, but I saw it again. And afterwards, they had a Q&A with Irwin Winkler, the longtime producer of Scorsese, and Nicholas Pileggi, who wrote both Wise Guys, which became Goodfellas, and then Casino, and co-wrote this movie. And they sort of said Goodfellas only got made because they got De Niro aboard. Mm-hmm. So I suspect Casino, you know, speaking of gambling executives, movie executives are very risk averse. They want to star in it. And maybe Dustin Hoffman was not as bankable as Robert De Niro. So you say Robert De Niro, they'll make it. You don't say Robert De Niro, they won't make it.
Yeah.
But the problem is, you know, I don't know if he's the best Ace Rothstein, right?
Yeah, I mean, on the other hand, I kind of hate evaluating art or fiction based on a true story for how true it is to the real story. It's like, if I don't know, like, would that have been a better movie? I'm not sure.
The Irishman, the history of it is junk. It's not true at all. It's a great movie, though.
Right.
You know, and it's sort of a fable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think thinking about The Irishman is another reason that I have such a sort of bone to pick with the ending of this movie, because I feel like one of the things Scorsese does really well with these types of movies is he'll show like the highs and lows of like why they do this lifestyle and how it ends for them. And in this one, it feels like you get the why you do it, why he does it. And Eight's sort of ending is just like, and then he went back home, and it feels a little like you don't get the feeling of, he's fine. You don't get the feeling that he suffered much. It's like everyone around him suffered, and that sucks. The Irishman has one of the like bleakest endings where like, I remember thinking in The Irishman, you don't see the why they did. There's no like, here we're making rich, we're getting like wealthy, you don't see like the fun of it. You just see at the end of his life, even he's like, I'm still scared. And I feel like that is him sort of over like, or compensating for like how this movie ends, where you just sort of feel a little like, I didn't do enough there. And The Irishman's him going, okay, I want to be clear, this is how this lifestyle ends, which I really love. I think that Irishman, Killers of the Flower Moon, and even Goodfellas, to my recollection, I feel like has these endings where you kind of are like, even when they don't suffer like directly in the way that you want them to, where it's like going to jail or being killed, it's like there is something that they are left with that sucks. And here it just sort of feels like he just looks out the window and you're like, what does that mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a great, and like The Irishman has this thing that I love where every time they introduce a character, it doesn't matter. They're at the height of their fame and power and glamour. They freeze and put a little caption detailing how they die. Just to say, this is all bullshit. This is all a lie.
Yeah, I will say, I do think Casino glamorizes it, the mob, more so than, I mean, even with Ginger, yes, she dies tragically in the end, and I think it's supposed to be some sort of lesson, but I'm still like, well, you spent 3 hours showing me her insane jewelry collection.
Seems worth it, right?
You get the sense I do feel she probably would have had that end regardless of her relationship with, you know, it's not as if like she was this nice young girl and got you know, sucked into this lifestyle. She was in that lifestyle.
Can I tell you what movie it reminds me of? Is Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes.
Where it's like, I think you're trying to say this isn't good and all this, but it doesn't feel that way.
Cool.
You know?
Another ending that I think is a misfire, because he's trying to show like, and look at how many people got suckered in. I'm like, yeah, including all of your audience now.
Including me.
Yeah.
Right, you're a piece of shit. I know that, you know? Yeah, right.
Demi, what is your favorite mob movie? If you had to pick one. And do you like the genre in general?
I do like the genre. I feel like it's not one that I am like, I have to watch everything in it. Like, I think I'm also just generally...
I'm out.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, that's right.
I think in general, I'm also just bad at like being a completionist when it comes to like categories or genres like this. I'm trying to think though. I really love The Departed. I think that's a great one. I think with me, it's not just about exploring the mob itself as much as it's just like the machinations of it and like sort of like the double crossing and the idea of like, I think when mob movies get into the paranoia of being in the mob, that's when I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Departed's big for me.
Computer processes.
Any mob movie where it's like they all have a strong accent, I'm like, good. Get me into this world. So everyone having a Boston accent in The Departed is fun. I do really like The Irishman. I think that one stuck with me so much more than a lot of these do. Would you? No, I wouldn't. I was going to say, would you count Killers of the Flower Moon? But that's not. It's
an interesting question, right? Like, what is a mob movie, right? Because I think originally, and Scorsese would say this, the first mob movies were Westerns. And then they sort of took on, real life and sort of melded into become the first mob movies, Yeah. So Killers of the Flower Moon, there is sort of a gangster element to it. It's just, we don't normally consider it that,
I just rewatched Godfather Part 2 in theaters at the New Bev the other day, and I really love that one, but I think there's something about that one where it's just like, oh, it's split into two, and I keep going like, well, I like one of these a lot more than the other.
Do you like the older, more the
I just think it's more fun, especially when it's like, you just got a movie that's full of the present day. I'm like, yeah, I got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the present day in Godfather Part 2 is so dark too, but Alana, what are your favorite mob movies?
Goodfellas.
Yeah, I'm
sadly.
No,
maybe not sadly,
but proudly.
No, sadly in that it's like I'm sad because it's so predictable. But I think Goodfellas is one where.
What's your favorite soda? Coke.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
Heinz ketchup is the best ketchup.
It's the prototype.
Yeah.
Well, when I'm trying to convince people to get into mob movies, I just feel like that's the one that has most appeal because it's not just glorifying the mob. You don't have to know anything. It's just a really good movie.
Yeah.
Outside of that. And I also think it nails showing the dark side.
I think it's a perfect movie.
It's
just perfect.
I need to rewatch Goodfellas. Like I love that movie and I've seen it at least twice, but it's been so long that now when we talk about it, I'm just sort of like, and then what happens? But like,
yeah, and even when I was watching Casino, the voiceover in Goodfellas is so good. It's like not as good to me in Casino.
It's got more character in Goodfellas, and here it's like they switch between Nicky and Ace, and every time Nicky comes up, I'm like, right, yeah, this is a guy who's delivering it, and Ace is just sort of saying it plainly, which is like very much shows the difference in their character, but it's weird because you're like having one more fun when someone talks.
No, and also like in Goodfellas, Ray Liotta and Lorraine Bracco both have very distinct voices and that are pleasing to hear. And De Niro's kind of like, then this happened, And
exactly.
That was sad.
Have you seen Marty Supreme yet?
Not yet.
You're gonna love it. It is Goodfellas.
No, totally. So I always also talk about Uncut Gems as like one as.
I know. Everyone complains like, oh, I felt like I was going to have a panic attack. I was like, I know. It's awesome.
That's what I went for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When people say that, I'm just sort of like, that's kind of the point to me because when I'm going to the movies, I'm like, I want to microdose a feeling for 2 hours where it's like, I'm stressed. I'm having a good time. I'm sad. It's like, I think the idea of like having a panic attack for 2 hours, I'm like, that's thrilling. I'm on a roller coaster right now.
No, totally. But I tried to show my husband Uncut Gems. And after about 10 minutes, he was like, I'm just really stressed out, Alana. I don't want to keep watching. And I'm like, I actually think that shows that they're normal. Like maybe they don't want to feel like they're going to die.
Probably.
My parents did the same thing. And I was like, I can't relate to this.
Well, I was like, oh, that's funny because this is just how the inside of my brain is. You're not feeling like this all the time.
That's
Like I doesn't even really, it's stressful to me.
Can I tell you something extremely uncool? During Marty Supreme, I was sitting forward in my chair like this. Like I was watching a sports game or something like that.
That's so funny. Well, I'll tell you why I haven't seen it. I'm going to be quoting a TikTok I saw because I was like, why am I resisting this movie? Like it's everything I would love in a movie. And this girl was like, I'm just really sick of watching movies about guys who really want something.
Sure.
And I'm like, that is sort of like a lot of these movies, It's like, I feel like I don't even need to watch it to know it's just some guy, he's obsessed with something. He like gets super into it. It probably destroys aspects of his life,
Yeah.
The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell.
But it's like,
I get it though.
Do you know
It's
what I mean?
A little just sort of like it feels frustrating to watch, but also tiresome in this way where you're like, it's hard to watch a movie where you kind of get it and it's just following one person that you're like, I know he's not supposed to be likable. I'm just gonna sit here for 3 hours and be like, yeah, I feel how I feel. I do get it.
Well, I'll say this and tell me what you guys think of this because it's relevant to Casino. I have never cared whether the characters are likable or not.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
And every time I hear people talk about that, it baffles me. It's just like irrelevant to me. Like, give me a piece of shit. I don't care, you know? Like, you know.
I think it's more just that I want them to not just be white guys that are unlikable. Like, give me more women that are sociopaths and, you know, people of
Casino
color.
was good for that, right? You
Yeah.
know, with Sharon Stone in the mix here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love, even on reality TV, I'm always like, I love the villain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm a big I, Tonya head. So when it's like, yeah, show me a mean woman in that same sort of thing, I'm like, great, good.
That's my type, you know?
Yeah. It's not all Jeff Galooly's. It's also Tanya's, you know? Yeah.
And they should make an I, Jeff, so we can see it from his perspective.
I would, oh my God, I would love a Rashomon-style series of movies all depicting the Nancy Kerrigan leg break.
Yeah.
You know?
None of them from Nancy's perspective.
None, yeah.
And we've got a writer.
I'm there.
Available.
There's already a
We're
prototype.
constantly pandering on this podcast. We're just like, we're available.
Yeah. Oh, very much so.
HBO's industry, get at us, okay?
A show that's already...
Listen, there'll be more work, I'm sure.
Right, you're
you
right.
know?
We should have lied and said that we are obsessed and watch every app.
Damn,
you know, we should have pandered.
This is now an HBO industry recap podcast.
Totally.
There's got to be some mob activity in that show.
Sure. I mean, Wall Street, I mean...
Well, the problem is once you start,
you know.
like... You see mob activity everywhere.
Sure.
Once you're in the frame of mind.
Welcome to my world.
Everything's a nail when you have a hammer. What was I going to say? No, I made my parents watch Marty Supreme on Christmas, and they were just like, I didn't like it. It was very scary, and that
what
guy
a great
was very
gift,
mean.
by the way. Yeah.
Which I thought was so funny. My sister was like, that was terrifying. It was very scary. I'm like, yeah. It's funny to watch a movie that you love and then show your family, because I think sometimes I just sort of go like, oh, right, I watch a lot of movies that to me feel like that's a movie, and to them it's like, that is not what we watch. And I'm like, it's very funny to just be like have that.
I think a lot of people seek out media, you know, to feel soothed or whatever, entertained, but lightly so, not necessarily terrorized.
I think we watched One Battle After Another and they loved that.
Oh.
So I was like, great, maybe they'll handle the other movie I liked this year. And
so I guess in a way I loved it, but it was sort of a happy movie in a sense, right?
Yeah.
You know, we confront those fears so they can be vanquished, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here, I don't know, does anything good come out of this experience? Is there an edifying aspect to Casino? I don't know if there is.
No, but I do still think my family would enjoy it.
Yes, it is
like
fun.
I think this is a dad movie, kind of.
Yeah, the world of the casino itself, Tangiers, is so compelling and like I'm just like I like being in the casino for 3 hours, basically. You know?
Yeah.
Was it shot at Circus Circuit? Did I make that up?
No, I forgot to look up which casinos it was actually shot at. I know that they had to shoot in the middle of the night to avoid interrupting the actual play as much.
I'm always curious about that because I'm like, isn't the casino still running at night?
It is. It's just a little less profitable during certain hours. So that's when they
that's fine.
That's when they shot in it, you know, and had to pay to rent it out. But
which is it's kind of like ideal for a casino because it's like the way they're all designed, it's like you're never going to know what time it is. So they don't have to be like, oh, we got to greek the windows because it's nighttime or whatever. So
great
that's nice.
Place to shoot.
Yeah, no clocks.
Well, okay. This brings us to the end of our pod where we want to play a little, I don't know if game is the right, a little thought experiment inspired by Casino and the mob in general.
Do the De Niro.
We're doing the De Niro hands for those that can't see. Dan?
Yes. So
why don't you explain what we're going to do?
We want to figure out, let's workshop. We're 3 writers in a room right now. Mob nicknames play an important role.
Oh.
I knew this was for
This is the reaction I want to hear, you know?
And also the nicknames in this movie are great.
Yes. And Ace, stand-in for Lefty, you know, the Tony Spilatro in real life was called Tone. But no, the press did a lot of Tough Tony, the Ant, all this shit. Mob nicknames are very important, and they serve a practical purpose also, which is to throw off people hearing so that you don't know who they're talking about necessarily. Insiders only will understand what's being picked up on.
Sure.
There's some great scenes with them talking on the phone in code, obviously this sort of thing. So we want to figure out some mob names for each of us, walk out of here with at least one solid mob name each, and we'll talk through it. All right.
Well, before we jump in, what are some of, outside of, Casino, what are some of your favorites and best ones? And ones we've discussed there have been so many over the course of this podcast that I'm drawing a blank, but.
Yeah. So listen, Let's
list some just for inspo.
I'm on the record as saying my all-time favorite is Hot Stove Jimmy Quinn.
Oh, that's good.
Hot Stove Jimmy Quinn being because he would steal a hot stove from a kitchen. That's how much he loves stealing.
Yes, that's incredible.
How good. I
thought it was because he would put someone's hand to a hot stove. But this is the thing. They're open to interpretation. They're beautiful.
Bathhouse John Coughlin. Hinky Dink Kenna.
Hinky Dink is
because
great.
He was short. He was a short king, actually.
I love when a big guy is called Tiny, and I love when a little guy is called Biggs or something.
Right.
I do. I think that's great.
I just love it. What can I say?
There's a reason that's a classic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's that. There's sometimes two guys will have the same name, so they'll say Little New York or Big New York. They did that.
They're so good.
Yeah. So all of these things are meant to signify, and often they're given by the press. They're not actually called that in real life, or you never call them that to their face. Bugs Moran. If you called him that to his face, he would get Bugsy, angry, kind of ironic,
Yeah.
The nickname would make him do the thing he got the nickname for,
Fantastic.
etc.
Okay, well, why don't we kick it off thinking about you? Because I'm sure you've thought about this before.
I did. And as you know, I work in a public school. So I've already been given some nicknames.
Oh, boy.
Well,
it has to do with how tall you are.
I have gotten that before. So I was thinking the Giraffe.
That's
nice.
good.
That's one. But I'll give two real nicknames that the fourth graders have given me.
Okay.
Frosty. Okay. Our producer is laughing at that, but let me explain why.
Mean?
No. This developed during Christmas over Frosty the Snowman because my hair is growing gray.
I was wondering if it was that.
Thanks. Appreciate it. No,
I was what could it be?
No, exactly. So Frosty is one. And then here's the really damning one. And I'm saying this on air. I'm just leaving it all on the field. They started calling me Unk.
Piece of shit.
Piece of shit, yeah. Wow, really? The true colors are coming up.
I know.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
They started calling me Unk. Okay, fine. Unk accepted. Then they started calling me Unk Shoes.
What?
Yeah. See?
I don't get it.
Unk shoes.
Just the idea that they made it so specific. It's it's not just everything. It's you wear Unk shoes.
You
Unk
do,
shoes.
actually.
That's great. Because it's it's one of those things where in your head you're I don't really care, but for someone to call it out and be this is a personality thing.
It's wormed its way into my head now.
Yeah, you're
absolutely.
I want to wear better shoes, and it's why to impress fourth graders?
It was you struck the nerve. I mean. I didn't have a problem with my shoes beforehand.
And when I say you do, I just mean you're not wearing straight up tennis shoes, which is probably what they're used to, right?
I mean, this Nike. Is when I'm wearing my Pumas. Apparently those are Unk shoes.
Wow.
I don't know what is cool shoes to kids.
Right.
I don't want to know.
No, yeah, that's not my business.
So I got Frosty, the Giraffe, Unk shoes.
Okay.
I think I have a deep bench already, I
think those are good.
Well, I mean, I guess the other question would just be if you were going to kill people or do crime, what would it be? And then that's how that informs the nickname, right?
Well, I like to think of my role in public education as an enforcer. So I feel like I'm already doing that,
Okay.
Demi.
Mm-hmm.
Our esteemed guest.
What are the...
This is an audition also for the writer's room of the outfit.
And possibly industry. Yeah. What do you feel like are your characteristics that your fellow mobsters would sort of glom onto as that's what we want to distill the nickname down from?
Yeah. I'm I think if I were in the mob, I would either be the guy who's really into making a plan, or who's look, if we're in this tough spot, or we have to get this thing, it's I want to think of all of the angles. So it's if they're going to come from here, I want to be the guy who's making maps and shit. So I'm maybe they call me Blueprint.
Ooh.
Blueprint's
just
good.
Blue for short, so
Just
that they don't know what
blue.
you're talking about. But then I'm also I'm trying to think of is it a physical characteristic or like a personality thing that they would mob onto? And then I was like, I don't like when people call it out, but I do know that I have a larger than normal butt, so I could also be called Cheeks.
Yes.
If I were in the mob and they called me Cheeks, I'd be like, I don't like it, and I'm gonna be mad about it. In the same Bugsy way, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna get cheeks about it. And then I'm like, would I also just be the guy who's like trying to? It's like I don't want any fights within the group, so I'm like trying to keep everything.
I feel like maybe it would also could highlight your how you give them the razzle dazzle.
Yeah,
you know, they bring you in to charm people, distract.
Well, and
you.
another thing is when a
Call me
mob
Jazz.
Yes, exactly.
Well, this is great because something mobsters will do is they will communicate nicknames just by gesturing, like not even using words to avoid surveillance. So, for instance, Vincent Gigante had the nickname the Chin. So to mention him, they'd go like that. They'd tap their chins. So with Cheeks,
just a little.
You have a few options. Yeah.
Or with Jazz.
Or Jazz do jazz hands.
And with you, they'd be like,
you just wanted to talk about your cute butt.
I did
and
not
tell everyone.
I did not.
You did. You did.
I did not.
All right.
With Unk Shoes, they'd just be like,
pointed. Yeah. Were those glasses?
No, that was. I think that was me. I don't even know what that was.
What was that? Horns? Do I have horns now?
No, I think that was old. But I was like, how does that translate?
Just an old piece of shit with wrinkles and.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
I love it. Okay.
So, let's turn that high-powered perception on.
I really don't know. I don't know.
Oh well, we can come up with some for you.
Okay. Well, I remember in high school, like my alter ego.
I love where this is going.
Or like basically when I got my high school, we got a sweatshirt and then you put like your name on the back.
Mm-hmm.
It was Big Lon. That was my.
That's so because I was thinking Lonnie, but then I was like, that's just your
nickname.
name.
And,
yeah.
But Big
Ange.
Big Lon.
Big Lon I like because we have Big Ange, who we've talked about previously, right?
What if you were you have to describe yourself, not in an interview, but just like a person. How would you?
Oh, don't make me do this.
I didn't want to do it either. Well, what would you think if someone were to, like, what's the best compliment you could receive? And you're like, thank you for noticing.
Thinking.
Long period of silence on the record.
The thinker.
The thinker. And then the gesture is doing the Rodin sculpture,
God.
the thinker.
Yeah, that probably is. Yeah.
I will also suggest.
I feel Dan should take this from me.
Well, I'll say this: you also could be a Jewish gangster, and I feel like Jewish mob nicknames tend to be a little different, where it's based more on the name. So it'll be like, Louis Buchalter was just Lepke. It was sort of this sort of Yiddish,
I love that.
Combination of things. So like, if you were just Lev,
That, and that is actually a nickname both my brother and I have had throughout our lives.
I love
Levinson. Like, okay, I'm actually obsessed with this when you have a last name that very easily lends itself towards
Sully.
Yeah,
I'm so jealous of them, but I love calling someone that.
Yeah, why?
But I don't know.
Why does it feel so good to do that?
It feels like you're a coach.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
And then you have some friends where it's like it's like you call them by their entire name, and that feels just as good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where it's like, they have a one syllable first name, one syllable last name. I'm like, then that is your full name.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been fantastic. Demi, it's been such a pleasure having you on to discuss Casino.
Yeah, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at ElectroLemon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have a stand-up special, don't you?
I have a comedy special available on Dropout. It's called Demi Adejuyigbe is going to do one backflip.
Incredible.
Which is a special all around the idea that I'm going to do one backflip at the end of it.
When you need to watch to find out if you do.
I also, there was part of me, it's like, what if my nickname was Flip? But then I'm like, that's too much of a tie-in.
No.
But no, I
like Flip.
I
Flip
like
is good.
Flip.
Yeah.
I made a denim jacket on the back that just says backflip. And I'm like, damn, I love wearing that.
Backflip is sort of more your like warrior's name.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Or like not a DJ, but it's like that's a friendly nickname where it's like everyone's sort of like razzing me. Flip is fully like this guy might be scary.
Yeah, backflip.
Yeah,
is,
like maybe you have a flip, like you're really nice, and then you
flip
just
the
kill
switch.
someone.
Yeah. Backflip is one of the Goonies. You know.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And
backflip and Data.
No prizes for guessing how he saves the day. By the way,
backflip. You're gonna have to do it. I can't. I haven't done it in years.
That's how Casino should have ended.
It should, yeah. He should have, Ace should have had an ace up his sleeve. And he's like, I can't do it. I can't. Yeah, he's like Gambit.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Well, thank you so much for listening. Check out Demi on Dropout and wherever comedy is found, including The Outfit. Alana, anything else before we go?
I think that's it.
Okay.
I'll come back with a better mob name next week.
Well, we
possibly one that highlights a great physical attribute of mine that I can highlight. Like cheeks.
Cheeks too.
I'm cheeks too.
Big cheeks and little cheeks.
There you go.
Right,
There we go.
Yeah.
Big cheeks, little cheeks, and the giraffe.
That's our new morning drive time podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.